Reverend Crothers?
Let us pray. Well, gracious Father, as we come before you this day, and finally we have our hot summer days, we just pray that you would keep all safe, that those that need shelter would find it, that those that need to take care of others would do so. But Lord, we also realize that we live in a day and an age, and it's been so evident in the things that we've heard so recently, a time when there is much evil that takes place, and people are often in danger. I know personally, I know people that knew some of the circumstances with the shooter at the church. And then, Lord, I know there are those here that know the officers that are involved in Southgate. And Lord, that's only the top and the tip of the bucket. But Lord, we need your graciousness there. We need your mercies. We need your protections. And more than anything else, we need to be reminded that these things need to be cast upon you, and that you are the one who changed the hearts and minds of men and women. But Lord, as I observe, the council also is engaged in business, and unfortunately, Lord, sometimes one of the most tedious things and one of the hardest things to adjudicate and to deal with is when you begin to talk about money. And so, Lord, we pray for your wisdom upon this council. Not only grant them wisdom, grant them humility, insight, and remember that they not only deal with the whole, but they deal with the individual parts. And so, Lord, for these things, we pray for your mercies, and we ask what we do in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. The clerk will please call the roll.
Councilman Wurzbacher.
Present.
Councilman Lloyd.
Here.
Councilman Schlack.
Present.
Councilman Barr has been excused. Councilman Valerius.
Here.
Pro Tem Nick. Here. And Mayor McLeod.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Lloyd.
Second.
Second by Mr. Valerius. Corrections or changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of June 10th?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Lloyd.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wurzbacher. Any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Organizational business. Mr. Estheimer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bring this Treasurer's report to you today to discuss official notification that the summer tax statements will be mailed out on July 1st. We've already uploaded these files to the mortgage companies that service our community via their specific requests. These bills will be due August 15th or by August 31st without penalty. If you're choosing to pay your bills via ACH, then those will be scheduled to be pulled from your bank accounts on August 15th. You'll also receive a notification on that tax bill that instructs you of such. Remember, we only mail out one tax statement and assume it will be delivered. It's the resident's responsibility to still pay this on time regardless if they do not receive a actual statement. Sometimes things get lost in the mail, I get it. But as of July 1st, anybody can go on to the BSNA online website by following a link on the Treasurer's page on the city's website. The link on the left-hand side, about halfway down, is called the payment link and property tax inquiries. In parentheses, it says BSNA online. From there, you click that link, you go to the BSNA, and your cursor is already on a search bar. You just type in your address from there, and you're looking for the second tab, which is Tax Information 2025. As of today, it says 2024, so that's obviously not updated yet. That'll be updated on July 1st when you're available to pay those taxes. And that'll show you your current amount due. So if you don't receive a tax bill, you still can find out what that is either by calling our office or by going online, as I pointed out. Also, this time of year, we have many residents who bought their homes last year, and they may have received a tax bill last year, maybe in the winter, that was calculated based on the prior homeowner's taxes or home value. So just a reminder that if you bought a home last year or within the past year, you're taxed now based on the amount that you purchased that house for now. So it's basically become uncapped, and the cap is now placed back on it at your taxable value. So if somebody bought a house 20 years ago, they're locked in at the rate that they bought the home for then, that taxable value. When you sell the home or when you buy a new home, it's based on the current taxable value of the home, the current value of the home. So until that's uncapped again, you're going to pay that amount. So basically, in short, if you keep your house, your taxes go up slowly, no more than 5% due to the Headley Amendment. If you buy a new house, the taxes reset. They became uncapped based on today's value. Then they stay capped again until the next time the home is sold. And I do have a flyer here, and it's also on our on my treasurer's page as well, if anybody needs any more information, or just give me a call at the treasurer's office. And that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, strongly recommend ACH. Mr. Murray.
Good evening. The road on the west side of Manor is now complete. Now the contractor is working on the east side of the street. They should be pouring concrete potentially next week if rain and 100-degree weather calm down. Seriously. Sectional road work, also concrete, on Cortland continues. That is probably about a week away from being completed. Work will begin this week coming up to replace the road on Marquise between Park and Caldwell. DPS is creating a list of roads that will need striping this year. If you see any, please reach out to DPS. The library recently had a booth at the farmer's market and had a summer reading kickoff party at the library, which resulted in 225 people registering for this year's summer reading program. The 2025 Sports Hall of Fame inductions will take place at noon on August 2nd. Registration for the Downriver Senior Olympics has begun. This event will take place from August 11th through August 15th. The police department is sponsoring 4 people to attend the police academy at Schoolcraft College. This is for future employment in the department. Thanks to the state of Michigan, they're paying for all 4. 3 people are retiring from the police department on July 7th, hence we have 4 people in the academy. Administrative Assistant Karen Elbert, Lieutenant Mike Hillock, and Lieutenant Paul Schreier. Congratulations to them.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept and file the administrator's report?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Nick. Second by Mr. Wurzbacher. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. We come to public comments. And all we ask is that you give your name and the street on which you live. Do not give us your full address. And the only other thing we ask is that you keep your comments civil. Only make sure the mic is on. Press the button.
That's better? Oh, okay,
Yes.
thank you. Hi, my name's Tom Chwanski, and I live on Belfour Avenue. Upon this meeting, I was hearing how they were talking about raises and non-raising. I'd like to let you know that I'm a contractor in many cities, and it's a privilege to work in the city of Allen Park with all your contractors. The talent and the expertise that you have working here, for all the workers, it's very well. I'd also like to let you know, when workers leave here, there are cities that are looking to pick up Allen Park workers. They really are. I said, upon the raise, upon what these people are reserving, it's minute to compare what other cities get. The workers, the ethics, and how they are, take a look around the cities around us very closely. Look how the equipment's kept. That maintains a lot of money for the cities. It keeps a lot of people in clean. I said, other city equipment is broke, not kept up, or nothing. The privilege of our streets being kept clean, street, and the workers. I said, look how the workers stand. They represent the city excellent. I think all that should be taken in hand upon these raises given to people. There's a lot of people that here in the city, when the city went through, we had a problem with the city, and you know what it was when we lost everything. These people stood with the city, workers and everything else. I think it's time for these people to get their money back to them. I said, we know that the city amount of money that these people get paid does not compare to some of the cities. And maybe we can't afford it, but we can definitely take privilege in the people that we do have working for. So I'd really definitely consider if you guys passing that loan or passing this wage increase for the people, because they are hard workers. Our city is good because of the people that manage the people and our workers, and that's what I'd like to state. Thank you.
Good evening. Mayor, Is now a good time for me to cover our item, or would you rather wait until
Well, I
the
think,
agenda item?
When we do the
Okay.
resolution, we would, yeah, thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, I just didn't want to miss my
Oh, no.
Hi, Mary Jane Kittle. First off, I want to say I'm not opposed to raises at all. Everybody deserves a raise when they are doing their job. I just want to make that perfectly clear. What I am opposed of is how this is being handled. Last year, I came up here and I stated that you were going against a charter and a resolution. I expected it to be corrected. It's been a year. I've informed you, Joe, and my understanding is that you're to keep them on their rails if they go outside of the resolutions, if they go outside of the charter. I talked to Randall. He's aware of it too. To this date, it still is not being followed. Our charter states that the appointed people and their contracts and their agreements are set and their pay is set when they are appointed. They were all appointed in January. They agreed to their pay then. You can look at their raises and stuff, but they shouldn't be applied until January. If you want to change that, then you have to put some type of thing on the ballot to change it, or in their contract, their agreement, put something in there when they get their raises. But to bring it up mid-year against our charter is wrong. And then our resolution says the Human Resource Committee is to be 3 council people, excluding the mayor. The mayor herself seconded the motion on this resolution that was done on Tuesday, July 24th, 2018. It was obviously thought to be a joke because it's still here. The 2 people on it were never approved by the council as it's supposed to be, and the mayor still sits on it. It needs to be corrected. If you're talking about what other cities are making, I FOIA'd Woodhaven, Trenton, Riverview, Wyandotte, Southgate, Dearborn, Malvindale, and Lincoln Park to see their actual raises and what they make. You are not in line on what you are saying. When I looked at your paperwork, you pick and chose different cities for each person, which blows my mind why you would even do that. You need a specific thing. Just for an example, and not that I think that our HR person isn't getting paid right or anything, I'm just giving you one example that I was able to pull up. The HR person in Lincoln Park, who handles more than this city, is making $69,000 a year. We have a beautiful benefit for these people too, that I don't understand why they're getting benefit contracts that are equivalent to our fire and our police. They're getting $1,000 to live in the city. I'm still waiting for a lawsuit to happen on that. Then they're getting $1,000 for having a degree. Well, how do you get your job if you don't have a degree? That doesn't make sense at all. I would like to see this rectified. I'm done coming up here. I told you I want to follow the charter. I'm not your enemy, but I want to make sure you follow the charter and the resolutions and the ordinances. This needs to be corrected. As far as this is concerned, the committee that got together is illegal and against our charter. It can't be standing. I'm not trying to take it against you guys, but you also look at raises and you say, we got to be comparable. We have schools. We have 2 teachers. Schools all pay different wages. We have the mayor, you come from GM, my understanding. The big 3, the white collars all pay different things. There's not equivalent. That's why they're switching in things. You go better yourself. You go here, you go there. I understand that. We have a new city administrator who is making less than our previous one, so no, we didn't raise everybody. Our new finance director is making more because he's actually a finance person. The last person who was here, though she had the title, was a glorified bookkeeper. And believe me, I know I came from finance. And I knew it from the minute I came here and watched her presentation and knew the things that she did not know. So I'm not saying anything. You need to please step back and reevaluate this properly. We as a citizen, we don't even know what these people do. I asked you last year to do a study on their positions and to let us all know what they exactly do. I went in and I looked at Lincoln Parks, and their contract's out there, and it states everything that they do. Why is it Lincoln Park can do that? Why can't we do that? Why isn't there a job description? So if I come in here and I see so-and-so, I know this is their job and this is what they're supposed to be doing. Nobody here can even tell. Oh, I don't know what's this person. I don't know what's this person. If you had their job description, everything they did, you would know that. All I'm asking is just take a step back, breathe, and make sure that this is done correctly for all of us. And it's fair to everybody, to the residents and to the employees. I also want to note that in the appointments, we have Tim, who was appointed the treasurer. He was not elected. So by rights, he can get a raise. And the penalty pay that you're giving him is too low. So please look at it. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Pam Smith, Philomene. Coming from the corporate world, as many people still are affiliated, they do things a little differently, but it's still in line with what's taking place or being discussed here today. Generally, you're given a big bucket of money, and that big bucket of money filters down through the different departments until it bottoms out and ends. Yes, there can be self-evaluations. Yes, those self-evaluations then turn up to your direct manager. Your direct manager puts his 2 cents worth in. From that direct manager, it goes up to upper management. They, in turn, put in their 2 cents. Keep in mind, the upper management doesn't work with the employee by any means. From that point, it goes up to HR. Unless that employee has been in HR because they have been a horrific employee, they don't know what that employee has done or accomplished, but they put in their 2 cents worth on that self-evaluation. Evaluations can be good, but they're not always a driven factor of what should be decisioned on that person's pay. That employee could be a little slower or lower in one regard and higher in somewhere else. I took on many employees that other managers didn't want. They wanted them fired. I took them under my belt and I mentored them. They became great people. But an evaluation isn't always the way to go. When you have a bucket of money, or don't, standard pay, regardless of what corporation you are in, will vary between cities and responsibilities. And yes, having a job description is great, and it does itemize what you should be doing in your job, just like that job opening. And when you look at a job opening and you apply, you look at that stuff and say, I don't even understand what the heck half of this is about. You're trained for that position. You don't have to be knowledgeable or be an expert. But with the people we have in these positions today, they basically are our experts. We don't always know what they are doing behind the scenes, and we shouldn't. It's their job. We don't know what they accomplished in a day's work. But I can tell you one thing. Working inside this city as I do, they work hard and they give it their all. And these people need to be brought up to industry standards, whether it's 2% or 100%, which you're not going to see on any of these sheets. But it's very simple to say they can make more money over here. They can make more money over there. That's not the way to look at it. We don't need to continue to lose good people. We need to keep them where they're at. We need to ensure that they are happy. Those that are prorated for a reason, and it makes perfect sense based on their hire date. Fiscal years vary for different companies. Here in the city of Allen Park, I believe it's June to July. It's not a fiscal year, January to December. If you were to prolong what's taking place tonight, then in the end, you're going to have to make things retroactive anyway. So why sit back on your laurels and nitpick about 2% versus someone else getting, let's face it, $20,000 more, whatever. It's because they deserve that pay and they should get it. Period. Yeah, the citizens, this is the first time I've ever seen people's salaries in print, for God's sake. Okay, it's nice to have that information. Does it affect me as a citizen? To me personally, no. Other than saying, I want these people treated fairly and paid for what they do. Point blank. So please, this goes to vote tonight, vote for it so that they're paid appropriately.
If there's no one else coming up, we will close the public comment portion of tonight's meeting and move on to the consent agenda, which tonight consists of claims and accounts and the payroll report. May I have a motion, please? Motion by Mr. Valerius,
Second?
second by Mr. Lloyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will pay our bills. Resolutions. Resolution 1 is to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 year-end budget amendments. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Valerius,
Second.
second by Mr. Wurtzbacher. Will Mr. Law care to come up and tell us about these amendments?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The amendments are required by law to, for each department, since that's how we budget by department, and some of the departments were over on their expenses. I think they're all pretty justifiable for what has happened. Fire is getting hit with overtime based on short staffing. The community center budget is over, but they've also increased their revenues significantly by over $160,000 above what they budgeted for the year. So with that comes additional expenses. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No one has any questions, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Resolution is approved. Thank you. Resolution 2 is to concur with Chief Judge Richard Page and appoint Ms. Amanda Brithany as an attorney magistrate for the 24th District Court. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Schwack, second by Mr. Valerius. Judge Page and Amanda.
Thank you for having us here tonight. I think everyone knows Amanda by now. She's been our court administrator.
Make sure you speak.
Yeah, she's been our court administrator now for 3 years. She's a licensed attorney, and she's qualified to be a magistrate at the court. And what we're asking is for your approval. That will allow her to take the classes necessary to become a magistrate. We'll be using her as a backup to our current magistrate, and there's no additional salary for this particular position. But she's well qualified, and this is going to prepare her for maybe some future things here in the city. Any questions or?
She's looking forward to the additional responsibility. I can
Thank you
tell
for
by
taking
the
on more
smile.
work for the same amount of pay.
Smile
It's
on her
appreciated.
It's when I first interviewed for the position, I was a brand new attorney and I was practicing law. And at first I was inclined to say, no, I went to law school to practice law. And then after, thinking about the opportunity and, I interned for Judge Page before I went to law school, I just felt that, maybe there's other things in a legal aspect. And I feel like being a magistrate will also satisfy that want and that need why I went to law school in the first place. It gives me that, not that I don't have a purpose, but I'm intrigued. I always get excited when he gives me a research project or Judge Courtright asks me for something. I'm like, yes, I'll do it. So I'm super honored, and I'm thank you for the kind words. I really hope to serve our community to the best of my ability if you approve this.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
I'm going to add to those kind words. I taught Amanda at Cabrini. I've known her for a long time, and I'm so proud of you. That's all.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Moving on to Resolution 3, to concur with the recommendation of the DDA Executive Board and approve the annual compensation of $87,000 for their director, Benjamin Hughes, effective July 1, 2025. Motion, please.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Lloyd,
Second.
second by Mr. Wurzbacher. We had a cover memo. The DDA Executive Board had recommended the annual compensation increase to be effective July 1, and the recommendation was reviewed and approved. And the position is consistent with the city department heads and directors. Any comments or questions?
Question, Mayor.
Yes.
Remind me, I could be wrong. Have we approved the DDA director's salary in the past? I just don't recall.
Yes, we have.
We have. Okay. Does this mean if we do pass this resolution, are we going to also be in line with trying to get the DDA as well as the city in line with providing Mr. Hughes with a contract?
According to other organizations we looked at, there is no contracts that are done with these individuals. They are agreements. In the past, there was a very convoluted contract. I think you were familiar with that, with previous employees. Now there is simply a simple agreement. And we've run into that with other organizations where dealing with the same entity, there was a contract. And of course, none of this comes out of the city budget. It comes out of the DDA's budget. But according to state law, it is a formality that it does come before council.
So then he has an employee agreement, you're saying, that's renewed every year?
When he was hired as a DDA director, and there is an agreement that he receives the same benefits as city employees. And that is in effect until he leaves or is terminated.
And your memo stated that the DDA board did review and agree with this?
Yes. That's my, yes. Yeah.
Mr. Frake, may I ask a little more about that process? Sounds like evaluation to me, so I'm curious.
If I may approach the council. So, Mr. Schlack, there was a discussion among the officers of the Downtown Development Authority. They brought forward to the board a recommendation after reviewing other salaries, other organizations, other downtown development authorities, and after having a review with Mr. Hughes of his performance of the year before.
Would you argue that was evaluation, sir?
I will let you put whatever term upon it you wish. I have described our process.
Could I ask, was it a written document or just a verbal?
We had a discussion among the three officers and Mr. Hughes, and among the officers separately.
No, not a written, just
We did
feedback.
not perform this time a written evaluation. We did solicit, among others, at a meeting if any of the other board members had comments. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is approved. Resolution 4 is to approve the effective administrative appointed staff to go from hourly to salary pay due to federal court rulings on the FSLA. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Wurzbacher.
Second.
Second by Ms. Nick.
I shall explain. So last year, around this time, I think, there was a resolution passed to go to non-exempt status for, I want to say, 5 employees. Due to the FLSA ruling was going to go to a new salary of $58,000 to be on a salary instead of an hourly system. That ruling got shot down by a federal judge in November before that was to take effect. therefore reverting it back to 2019, which is $35,484. I think. It's 35 some change, I think.
560.
560, I'm sorry, it's close. I'm not reading it. So therefore, due to the raise packages we have, because we have asked and looked at it, if they were to be approved, this wouldn't really matter with that. It's just a formality of having a resolution to go back to or I think it's exempt status, meaning their salary, not hourly for overtime, those individuals. So therefore, we would no longer have what we call salary/hourly for those individuals, if this is passed.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is approved. Resolution 5, to concur with the recommendation of the Human Resources Committee and approve the administrative and supervisory salaried personnel be adjusted 2%, which is consistent with the union contracts effective July 1, 2025. Motion, please.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Lloyd,
Second.
second by Mr. Wurtzbacher. Comments or questions? We have 4 individuals on here.
Through the chair, I wanted to bring this up during the study session, but we just ran out of time. But we kind of have the cloud over this process, so I wanted to hand something out and then I'll talk about it. And it'll be fast.
I was looking for something I got, it back.
So, again, I bring this up because I don't want to cloud over this process. So the issue's been raised with respect to this charter provision and as to timing of giving raises. So this provision applies to the salary of officers elected or appointed for a definite term shall be established at the beginning of the term. So the beginning of it says the council shall fix the salary or compensation of all officers and employees of the city. And then it distinguishes between the two. So what we have here are employees who have at-will, they're at-will employees. So they have not been appointed or hired for a definitive term. Also, and I put this all in writing in more detail, but also there's some question whether or not they would even be officers. The charter's not clear, and you'll see it here in the letter. But the conclusion is this provision in the charter does not bar you taking this action tonight. And I just wanted to make sure, I didn't want any, I want to put it in writing and mention it today. And Gary, I'm glad you brought it to our attention so it could be addressed properly.
Through the chair.
Yes.
So if I could just to clarify, what you're saying is that there's a distinction between Treasurer Estheimer and Mr. Murray, and that, not being the case, but if we decided right now, a simple vote of 4 people could terminate Mr. Murray, but that same situation is not true for Mr. Estheimer, because he is an elected official with a set term of office where Mr. Murray does not have that. Is that fair comparison? Like, is that accurate?
Well, that's accurate, but it really doesn't apply here because we're talking about city employees.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that, Tim, I want to give you your duly respect of your office,
Yeah.
but and so that he so to the point that was raised, we can't adjust Mr. Estheimer's salary because he is an elected official with a set term.
Well, yeah.
It can't be adjusted until the next election when that board meets.
Yeah, unfortunately, elected officials have the Elected Officers Compensation Act, which is kind of unfair for some. Well, anyway, I shouldn't go there.
It's a-
But anyway,
yeah.
that is the process for modifying elected officials. So that is a whole different analysis. And I probably haven't even answered your question.
No, you did.
So-
You did. I'm just pointing out the distinction when the charter, and I have it pulled up here.
Right.
It says, the salary of officers elected or appointed for a definite term shall be established at the beginning of the term. So we're basically making the distinction between, so in this case, Treasurer Estheimer was appointed to that position. He is an officer and so therefore it follows that different.
Well,
criteria.
somewhat, but, part of this, and actually, it's probably good you read that, and we don't have to go too deep in it, but there are some individuals who are officers who are not elected. So for instance, if you look in there, this, I put in the opinion, there's some officers such as city administrator, city attorney, city engineer, city auditor, city assessor. So specifically, so even though we're not, I hate using myself as an example, but even though we're not elected, we are an officer.
Yeah.
But you'll see as you review this and spend more time, that distinction is somewhat murky in our charter.
So-
But what is clear is these are at-will employees of the city, and they have not been appointed for
Definite term, or definitive term.
And I think that's the distinction that I was trying to raise between,
Sure.
yeah.
So through the chair, basically, the definitive term is the one that I focus on, because, like, none of our department or directors, like, we didn't hire them for 3 years only,
Right.
or 4 years only, or 2 years only. They're at will, they could come and go
Right.
when they want, basically,
And they can let go.
exactly.
Yeah, I think the assessor's a good one, to look at too, because we've had Christine Kuhn for quite a while.
Joe, I definitely appreciate you providing this document, going into that provision. That makes sense, and clearing that language up there about definitive term or not, I'm happy we discussed that a little bit. Just seems to me then, I would think going forward then to not use the term appointment necessarily. If we're gonna have that, if there's that much confusion in the charter, then maybe we shouldn't use that going forward. I mean, employee's an employee, not an appointed employee. I mean, I feel, unless they're mandated by our charter to say so, rather than keep on pulling hairs and say appointed employee and mixing all that up, it just, if that's something to do, then
It's a good idea.
it's not, to continue, to stop that confusion, right? If we're not, that would make sense to me. And, I'm happy to hear about 7.8, and like I said, I think for clearing that up, and, yeah, let's clear that up for me. I appreciate that.
Any other,
Yeah, I do, I'm just a little confused, so if we can, so the elected official stepped down, we appointed a treasurer, but they're just gonna be, so I guess where does he fall? Is he elected, is he appointed, is he just an employee?
well, I probably should let Joe answer it, but the fact is he filled an elected position.
Correct.
So he has a term that ends. So you have to view him, even though he was selected to fill the elected position, he wasn't elected to it, he is viewed as an elected official.
Okay.
Because he has a term that will end. So he does not have an indefinite period. As the treasurer, his term is gonna end in 2027.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
yeah, he has to be, yeah, I know, it's kind of.
It was a little confusing,
He's
but
kind of
thank
a
you.
hybrid.
Joe, I have a question regarding that too, that also applied to Mr. Lloyd then, since, I mean, yes, by a charter, the next man up, the appointment, this language is really something that I feel that we need to look at and justify and make sure that no issue like this comes up in the future, especially at sadly, how many members we've lost.
Well, I think, and again, I probably should let Joe, but elected officials, their pay is set by the local officers' compensation
yeah,
board.
not arguing that.
And no matter when they come onto the council, whether it's in the November election or thereafter, their compensation is whatever is in place for that period, for that term. So no matter when you come on to council, you're gonna get paid the amount that was established for those who were elected in November, and that pay goes through 2027, at which time, sometime in January, the local officers' compensation committee will meet 2 or 3 times and determine what they're gonna pay for the next group for the next 4 years, and yeah, that's an interesting process.
Yeah, I'm not against that. That makes sense to me. I appreciate that, Mayor. I just, again, I don't think that resolution that 4 necessarily goes into any, at all, specifics about elected salaries. I think those listed in resolution 4 were non-elected or appointed or, those words again, getting confusing.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's something that we definitely need to clear up and look at. The question I have about the compensation commission, and is that a, Joe, if you could, sir, Mr. Poirier, tell me, is that a state law that we're following, or is that something we're following based that we set up in our charter?
So,
If you're asking about
So-
the committees, it's neither.
well, no, but I'm,
No, it's not about the compensation.
so,
All of the local officers.
I just, when I'm looking at, for example, the salary
State.
of clerk, treasurer, I mean, they both do a lot of work, and I just feel, I'm not saying we jump to that, but I'm just saying we have to look
Very
at the
well.
future of our,
it's in our charter, it's section 7.03.
okay, so it's based on, so we could, it's not a state mandate, well, if we so chose to want to go that process. Charter-
Well,
If, yeah,
The
exactly. Let's say
council
we do it.
shall, by ordinance, I think, we're kind of, you're asking me some really detailed questions, and it's very nuanced. So you're asking me, so I can tell you for sure, it's in our charter. And I can also tell you, I believe state law requires us to have it. And the idea is, it's kind of, and we're really getting off track from this hour.
Right, again, I'm not against it, yeah, we are getting off
But
track, but
it's
since you
a
brought it up.
creative system where local officers' compensation, hey, how about this? How about you, I'm gonna show you this, and you and I just talk about it another time, okay?
Yeah, we could, yeah, like I said, this
Unless you guys
provision
wanna
didn't
talk
deal with
about it
directly
now.
elected. I'd be happy to do it. Sure,
Okay.
sure, go.
But it's basically set up so they make a decision, council decides to whether accept or shoot it down. And then it goes into effect with the next council. And it is designed so council cannot set their salary.
27th Amendment of the Constitution.
And-
Exactly.
And you know what you're getting into when you run for office.
Again, I completely agree. I'm happy to, again, well, that's something we'll discuss further, and that is, in my opinion, no bearing on Resolution 4, but it's good to know that we've had that chat.
Okay, getting back to Resolution 5. Yeah, I know, they're all crammed together. So we had motion
Oh.
by Mr. Lloyd, seconded by Mr. Wurtzbacher on these increases. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is approved. Resolution 6. I have to make this font bigger. To concur with the recommendation of the HR Committee and approve the salaried personnel wage adjustments effective July 1, 2025. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Wurtzbacher,
Second.
second by Mr. Lloyd. Comments or questions on this group?
I just want to make a statement. I am not at all against raises, but looking at this, I just cannot justify some of these percentages that are high. 25%, 10.92. I know we discussed it during our workshop. Being elected by the residents, I feel that we have an obligation to look at the finances of the city and the purse strings. And I just feel some of these are out of line. Some of them seem a little low compared to some of the other ones that are pretty high. So I just have a really hard time justifying some of these raises. But again, I just want to make it clear that I am not against raises, but I would like to ask our city administrator if at any time do you bring the employees in and just discuss with them, not so much an evaluation, but just like a goal setting?
Yes, actually during the time period of going over these potential raises, I had given them lists of expectations. And we went over them expectations and to see what we can accomplish with that.
Do you look back at what they did the following year?
I will let you know next year. I haven't been the administrator for a year to tell you that.
Well, okay, from the time
Well,
that you were
yes.
there, or
Yes.
did you allow them to say, this is what I did last year, I did this, I got this grant, or?
We have
anything like that?
ongoing discussions. I talk to probably every department head within a week's time, probably consistently, over each week, just about different things, what's happening, what we can do together, and things of that nature. And I also discuss with department heads how their deputies are doing and anything they need to be working on. I have prior to even this.
Okay, and you did, when we had a discussion about, I know it's not on this, but the part-timers,
Yes.
have you gotten any feedback on that?
Yes, I already have.
Okay, thank you.
Like a further comment, if I could, for the chair? Just try to say what I can for it being on record about this process. Again, I am not against raises. I'm for evaluations. I've said that since the dawn of time. I never said these evaluations, whatever they will turn out to be, have to be written. I believe that evaluations are a way to go through based on my research, my conversations with municipalities around the country. That's no hiding. I've said that going back. And I feel that when we look at not just necessary job descriptions. I'm not asking for job descriptions. We have a list of job descriptions. And we also have the State Bureau that provides those job descriptions. I'm well aware of where we can find that data. I'm asking to consider the idea of having a work study, if you will, to kind of evaluate what's being done, to see if we do need to hire more or less employees. If it's true that we need to do, we can take a combination of what comes out of that study with the experience and the professionalism that we have within our city. That's what I'm asking for, not just a work description. I can go and Google a work description. And when we look again, when I started saying about the comparable data, I feel the comparable data that's self-reported, we have to take that in consideration and look at everything that's not reported. Because I looked at that data, I compared it myself, and there were certain data of individuals that were perhaps in union positions that our city does not have. And maybe they were getting more or less. And when we do that overall average, it could skew that. So I feel that we should look and analyze that further. That's what I would say. So I don't feel we need to also look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics that shows an average 3 to 4.7% is the regional average from the last 2 years, and 25 data has not been, we haven't had a full year, so that data is not there, but 23, 24 showed that average for the Metro Detroit area. That's a valuable source. Now, I feel when the city administrator and we did talk about it, he said he had the desire to bring it up to that standard, so I'm not denying that. I had that conversation, we definitely did. To say we didn't would be a flat out lie. Now, we did talk, and I said, okay, I would think about it, talk about it. I never told him definitively that's what I would want to do, and if it came to be, that would be a decision or not a decision. That's my role as a council person, as a voice of the people, why I'm elected here. So in this position, like I say, when we look at these salaries, I feel that we should be in line and take the time and effort to do so, and I don't feel that has been done to the satisfaction I feel that citizens do. I'm glad to say that we do list our salaries, and other councils, commissions do list their salaries and positions out there, so we do see what they're paid for. Now, to say, would it make my decision as a citizen go, oh my gosh? No, but when you gotta look at all the scope of things, when we look at our history, as we often do up here, because we are shaped by our history, and look at where we could be in a financial situation, it's important to consider that. Now, I like to think, ideally, that we would not let go our employees if in a situation that a downturn happened that would negatively impact even projects. but we have to be self-aware of that. I feel sometimes some people aren't, and I think that is the least role I stand. Again, evaluations is something I said, and rules and procedures, nothing new, I've said that. So I feel a work analysis is not, the rest of the council doesn't, well, that's the council. We are a body that requires 4 votes to get that passed, and no, I'm not hiding from that. Now, when we look at the employees that we have, and we have darn good employees that serve our city, that, you know, I don't want to say, oh, if you don't like it, there's the door. That's not at all what I'm saying. That's ridiculous. What I'm saying is we look and really evaluate those issues and see if that is what it is, then it is what it is. But to just, without doing these proper things, I don't feel with good conscience we can do so. I feel that we could do that, and we openly talked about this last year when we said, well, we should develop some format, and I've echoed, let's do it, and I've echoed it and echoed it. I can only be one voice. I understand my colleagues have to also echo that, but I do know some colleagues up here did echo that, and then it falls. And then I echo it again, oh, that's a great idea, and you know, we have to, it's a moving part. We have to continue to go, and I think that's where evaluations and rules would come in place, where if it's something that council repeatedly has talked about, it's worth exploring more than just saying it and then being left on deaf ears. So again, I'm for raises. I'm for someone being their fair wage. I'm for us continuing having the great community we have. But I want to see it done a little bit differently. It doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm talk to my colleagues up here, and I would like to ask for agree to disagree, not snickering and laughing and other things that I may have heard. So, and that's where I'll yield about this subject. Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Opposed?
Want to take a roll call, Angela?
Mayor Pro Tem Nick,
No.
Councilman Lloyd,
Yes.
Mayor McLeod,
Yes.
Councilman Schlack,
No.
Councilman Valerius,
Yes.
Councilman Wurzbacher.
Yes.
The yeas have it.
Thank you. Move on to Resolution 7. To approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Allen Park and the Senior Alliance in regards to SHIP/NWD. And we will welcome Carrie West from the
Here's my
Senior Alliance.
Now it's your time.
But first, I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Schlack.
Second.
Second by Mr. Valerius. Now,
All right, cool. I'm Carrie West. I'm here from the Senior Alliance. We're the Area Agency on Aging. So we provide services for seniors and individuals living with disabilities throughout the area, throughout the Wayne County area, so those 34 communities. We've worked together for a lot of years, you guys. You guys have supported us. We've supported residents. Some of the things that we're known for is, for instance, we have an information and referral line that people can call if they just have a question. If maybe they're having a problem with their Medicare or with their Medicaid, or if they need a wheelchair temporarily, or they need something a little bit more serious. During the last year that we looked at, we had 190 calls to our agency from Allen Park residents for that type of assistance. We also have a fleet right now of 5 vehicles where we provide rides for non-emergency transportation. It's usually medical transportation. We do dialysis rides, doctor's visits. We go to both VA hospitals, things like that. In the last year, we provided 127 rides to Allen Park residents. Lots of other things that I can name here. We have 37 residents that we've provided tens of thousands of dollars worth of services to through our My Choice Waiver program, which helps frail elderly people remain in their homes as long as possible. Our care management program, care coordination services, those type of things. And then one of the programs that we have is our State Health Insurance Assistance Program, or SHIP program. That program is really focused on providing assistance to people who have Medicare and their caregivers. We've been providing that for a while now throughout the area. I have a flyer, if you guys didn't get it already, kind of about that program. And what it shows is that we have services throughout our area. And right now, we don't have a site where we provide those services in Allen Park, although in the last year, we've helped people with Medicare assistance, 56 different people. So we are making that connection. But I really have to appreciate your mayor and city administrator who have been very patient. I was so excited when we came to realize that we'd have an opportunity to provide a new service. And when I first met with them, I wasn't even sure of the name. We were calling it the No Wrong Door Program. Since then, which is what it's known as nationally, but we don't really like that name. It doesn't really speak to us. So fortunately, across the state, just on the 10th of this month, they announced a new name, which is called the My Options Program from Michigan Options. I do have a new flyer here that will be changing again in another week. So that's what I mean, them being really patient with me. I'm like, the name of the program is changing. Been working on this program since March. Finally, I know the name. Anyway, this program is really exciting because it's even broader than the other programs that we work with. And that's what I'm really attracted to. And so I reached out to them because I wanted you guys to work with you guys on this new project right from the beginning. So what this program does is it offers assistance with long-term care options for anyone, regardless of their income or asset level at all. So to give you an example of somebody that this might work with, it might be somebody on the younger end of the spectrum who maybe had a developmental disability and they were reaching that age where they wanted to be a little more independent, or going off their parents' insurance and wanted some help getting some housing and setting up those supports, and maybe needed to still have some social engagement and need some transportation to things. Another client for us might be a gentleman who's retired but worked at Ford Motor Company for 42 years. It's the client we worked with, and he said, I can afford some services, but I don't even know where to go. This isn't my cup of tea. I'm using a walker or a wheelchair now, and I have some needs. So that would be another potential person for this program. The last example I'll give you real quick is probably our most common example, and that would be of Sandy, who was 88 years old. Her husband passed away last November, and she called us several months later, and she said, my husband prepared me. He said that it was going to be a little bit tighter after he passed away financially, and I knew that I'd have some challenges, but it's been so much harder than I realized. And she didn't look after her Medicare and look at what was going on, so she found out in January that her inhaler that she needed to use was $600 a month. So in addition to that, plus food costs and extra costs along the way, she called us and we were able to help her in a variety of ways. One of the most important things was the prescriptions. We were able to identify that she qualified for a program through the Social Security Administration called the Extra Help Program. And with that, it's way above the Medicaid limit for people who think, I'm never going to qualify for anything. But she did, and it took her inhaler from $600 a month to $42 every 3 months. And her other prescription that was $60 went down to just $5 a month. So and then we also, what this program does is what speaks to me in this program is on our flyer we have this this graphic that kind of goes everywhere where you go to one person and say, I can help you with this thing, but I can't help you with those things. So then you talk to him and her and you're kind of getting the runaround, right? Everybody knows what that feels like. With this program, the goal is to have one person-centered, certified counselor who you'll tell your story to once, and then they can help be your advocate at Social Security and with Medicare and all that stuff. So what we're looking to do here in Allen Park is for you guys to be one of the communities. You can see we have a lot of experience working with communities, about 15 of them that we're working with our Medicare program. But you guys to continue to work through this new program with us and be patient. But We want to be able to provide services right here in Allen Park. Because it's a person-centered program, we want to be able to do that when it works for people. So it might be Monday afternoon, Thursday morning, it might be at 5:30 in the evening when their daughter gets off work and we can all get together. So that's what we got together and we talked about, and that's the proposal I'm looking for, so that we have that agreement, so that we can help each other. I believe that you've looked at the agreement as well.
Good evening.
Sorry, I know that was a lot.
No, it's good. So essentially, the city's providing you space, a room.
Yes.
And you're gonna handle all the services, and we're gonna assist with, the city will assist with coordinating and advertisement. It's a no cost to the city, it's just providing that space. And I believe it's gonna be at the recreation center.
It is.
What do we call that building? Community center.
And in fact, we already have a presentation set up, I believe it's in July, to introduce the program, so that we can make sure that it's really known and available to your residents. We're excited about it.
And if you, any flyers that you brought, if you could give them to Angela.
Yeah.
We'll make sure everybody gets them. Does anyone have any questions of Carrie?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
familiar, great program, welcome to Allen Park.
Thank you so much. We're really excited. I'm going to put these in the back too, in case anyone would like any. All right. And in fact, I'm going to leave her, I know you guys have my contact information, but I'm going to leave her that as well. And so if you do have any questions or have a referral to make, please don't hesitate to reach out to our office.
Great, thank you. So back to Resolution 7, to approve the memorandum of, I'm sorry, I've been at meetings since 9 a.m., of understanding. May I have a vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is approved. Thank you very much, and thank you, Carrie. Resolution 8 is to authorize the city administrator to sign the 1X Run mural agreement and authorize the first payment of $14,850 for the former Allen Park Theater site. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Nick, second by Mr. Wurtzbacher. Did I get that right? Good. Mr. Murray?
So this is the collaboration of the DDA with the city for a mural on the old Allen Park Theater site for, I'm gonna get it wrong, I know, Sign Specialties maybe it's attached to? Signorama, I'm sorry. Signorama. The wall that is there actually is owned by the city because there's a double wall. Therefore, the contract has to be signed by the city since we're the owner of the actual wall. So the first payment of $14,850 is due to DDA would like the city to put some skin in the game because they had paid for the last muralist to start, and then that muralist then said left. They've worked with this muralist to get them in here and a different mural concept. And we offered to pay the $9,750 potentially, $9,750, and they will pay the remainder due to, in their budget, they put so much money aside, and they have $20,000 left of that said money, so they were short by $9,750. So I'm asking if we can pay the $9,750. We'll pay the full payment. They will reimburse us the $5,150 back towards that, and then they'll make the next and last installment.
Okay, just so I'm clear, this says the first payment is $14,850.
It is. The city's gonna write a check for that. After that clears, DDA is gonna put $5,150 back in our account. That's what I was told by Mr. Hughes, if he wants to come up and reassure that. And then DDA, when this is completed, will make the last payment of $14,850 for the remainder.
Any questions?
Question. The question I have about this is I just want some, is there any reassurance or any discussions? I don't know if this would be something maybe putting the cart before the horse, or maybe it was brought up before I came here, but regarding the last time, prior mirrors, there was a discussion of what the mirror would be, what body's going to determine that.
from the memo I read, I didn't see anything to indicate anything of that. I just would like to prevent that so we can collaborate together, DDA and the city.
So prior to this, I wasn't aware that we had signed the agreement until a week ago, so I'm sorry. But we had already collaborated much earlier. We added several individuals. We've added from library assistant, librarian deputy, we've added the HR director, we've added a couple DDA members of the board, one being female, one being male. We have a couple individuals that were on the other one. That way we're way more versed with different ideas. And this, I don't know exactly it's gonna go this way, but it came about that we need to just make this something new for Ellen Park. The last one, if you recall, that people did not like was about history of Ellen Park. So we're trying to stay off of Ellen Park, make a new Ellen Park with this mural. And I think everyone will probably be very surprised that there's no concepts yet. This is what we have to pay to get the concepts. So I can't sit here and tell you I have a concept and show you to do that. But this is how muralists work. They're in business to make money too. So it is a different whole outlook, and it's a bigger collaboration than what we had previously. I hope that helps you.
Yeah, excellent. Like, I'm not against it at all. Like, I think it's a big part of any community is art, and how our community looks. So that's why I was just wondering regarding that. You mentioned that there are people part of that committee, or commission, or I'm not sure what the term is that for those that are gonna decide that. I'm just asking, maybe you could provide that, those names to her, so we can congratulate those members possibly for serving on that.
That's not a problem.
That's all.
Not a problem.
So as the process, so you have a group, has your committee met yet? to
They've
discuss?
met 2 times, if I'm correct. Right? I didn't think there was a third. 2 times. And one of the neat concepts this muralist said and asked, compared to the last one, nothing against the last one, just different. Give us words that you're looking for that describe Ellen Park. Words, not give us visions. So they were gonna take that back and show us concepts of what that, in their artistry mind, looks like.
So will you be showing us maybe the process along the way, or do you want to wait until the very end and show
I
us
think
something?
because it's a committee of multiple people from multiple parts of our organization, that this was not to be brought in front of council or DDA board to approve the concept. This was gonna be showed to you, yes, like the last one, and you have a right to obviously say your opinion, but we're letting this group kind of decide where that goes. That's why we have such a diverse group, so no one can say, well, it's all one way or another. It's a very diverse group, and I can tell you I was in both. This one is very unique. We have people with very artistic mindsets in this committee that we didn't have prior as much.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm, speaking to both Nancy and Gary who came and commented, I think we all had the same reaction. And I think that, when we looked at the mix of the ones that had done it and said, well, you need to have, even the, student commissioner who was on the DDA board at that time had,
Is he still on it?
He's on there. Yes,
had
he's on there.
suggested involving an Allen Park High School student. It's very nice to hear that he's still connected with that. So you've got a very diverse group as opposed to what we had before, and I think the feedback that we all gave was very important. And I think got people thinking and talking as you were there at the meeting, including, like I say, the high school student. Looked very refreshing and wonderful to know that he's still on there. And then we looked at individuals here who have very artistic leanings, so yeah, I think we're gonna see a much different
So
product.
there was talk, which I think Trenton did, where they started the mural and then during their street fair, they kind of finished it off so that residents could see it. Is that something that
This,
we are still
because we're so
talking
late,
about?
this is probably gonna be October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I asked them not to rush. I'd rather we get this right than to rush. They
Correct.
said they could rush and try to get it to that point where they're probably finishing it during the purpose of our street fair, but I don't feel that was.
Yeah, I would
should go
rather
out,
they
so
not rush.
We're
and
hoping
take their time.
around October before the weather turns.
Okay, thank you.
And it stops pouring.
One more quick question, just for Joe, just to make sure, this doesn't interfere at all with OMA with this group, since it's 2 entities of DDA city, would that fall under OMA?
probably would be prudent to host their meetings.
That's what I'm asking mostly.
Once you post meetings, you're fine.
I mean, yeah.
And quite frankly, why not have the public? I mean, let's face it, many meetings you post, people don't show up, but
Well, yeah, we know that. I mean,
give audience. So my belt and suspenders answers is host the meetings.
belt and suspenders.
Heard
That's a
that,
new one,
Ben?
Joe.
Are you facilitating these meetings, Who's?
Just post them.
Post your meetings. Your committee, your committee meetings. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Good ones. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, resolution is approved. Resolution 9 is to approve the fire department to enter into a 5-year purchase agreement, EMS Plus, with Stryker Emergency Equipment to acquire, replace, and upgrade essential medical equipment with funds from account 401-336-985-002. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Schlack.
Second.
Second by Ms. Nick. Chief O'Reilly.
Good evening. I am here tonight to seek approval to enter into a 5-year purchase agreement with Stryker Medical Equipment. This agreement is a 5-year lease-to-own plan with a $1 per piece of equipment purchase at the end of the 5 years. The equipment that we will be replacing includes all our Stryker emergency equipment, which are 2 power loaders, 2 power stretchers, 2 power stair chairs. Those would be new additions. We'd be replacing our 2008 manual stair chairs. 3 Lucas devices. We currently have 2. We would actually gain 1 new one for our engine. 2 new LifePak 35s. They would be replacing 2 of our oldest monitors, which one is a 2011 and the other one is a 2015. So those are very far past their lifespan. This would also include 13 AEDs and all associated equipment for all the city buildings and some of the different city departments that have requested to have an AED in their trucks. It will also include a 5-year maintenance, full maintenance and battery replacement for all the medical equipment, which we do not have in any of our medical equipment right now. And over the past few months, you've seen the bills coming in for those repairs on those older pieces of equipment. This is a very important issue I'm bringing tonight because when you placed me in this position, I told you that some of my goals for being the chief would to be upgrading all of our medical equipment to provide the best ALS medical services to our citizens and to try and get these AEDs in the buildings. We just saw what happened this year at the high school, and having an AED available, rapidly deployed, saved someone's life. And it is time for us to get these in these buildings and provide a safer community. And that's why it's so important for me to be here tonight, asking you for this approval.
So do you know if one will go into the historical museum? You said all city buildings, so,
Yes, we will have one for that building.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 10. To approve the waiving of any and all pilot payments paid by the Leo Paluch Apartments to the City of Allen Park, and that this waiver continue each year until such time that pilot is reinstated by a separate resolution. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Wurtzbacher.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lloyd. We had some discussion about this during the work session. The city does not have any purview over the public housing. The only authority that we have over that unit is that by law, we appoint the members of the Housing Commission. Other than that, we have no other say in what happens there. However, when things are not going right, we do get communications from HUD. And I was receiving communications from HUD going back to 2023. There were issues there that are now being addressed, but this is not a, they only have 64 units. They do not generate a lot of funding from their residents. There are various laws in place by HUD that I probably know more about, but I'm not an expert, and I know more about them than I ever wanted to. But unfortunately, because of certain circumstances, the unit experienced some losses of government funding that they should have gotten had things been done appropriately and in a timely manner. Those issues, there's been changes there. Those issues have and are being addressed. HUD was very instrumental in getting them back on pace. They took a personal interest in it after calling a meeting that they felt was very important with the commission and myself. And one of their individuals has been assisting frequently with helping them get where they need to be. Their payments in lieu of taxes, which is what Pilot is, are a calculation that comes out of the government. And generally, the payments to the city are roughly $21,000, $22,000 a year. May not seem like a lot, but it means a lot to them. And from my perspective, their needs far outweigh what this $24,000 would do for the city. And therefore, I am requesting that we waive this and that it be for an indefinite period of time until their numbers are increased, which may not happen for some time. And that's basically it. So, if anyone has any questions?
One question, Mayor, since I wasn't here when you guys discussed it, just to make clear that the pilot program keeps all the monies at Peluge so they can do what's best for.
Correct.
Okay, that's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a, like I say, payment in lieu of taxes
Right.
because they are, they don't pay taxes to the city. So, yeah, no, they would keep all of it.
I thought
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what my understanding was, but I did have questions for that too, but we obviously ran short of time and I was late to our session, so. Thank you. I
It
appreciate
didn't come up in the session, but, you know, it's even little things. Anybody who was there, I mean, by and large, the residents seemed to be pretty happy, but then they would mention our carpeting's filthy, which I think Ms. Nick observed herself. Well, they finally gotten the carpeting clean on one of the floors, and they're making an effort to just improvements, and the morale of the residents there has increased tremendously. So, and this would mean a lot to them and to their employees. So, appreciate your support on it. If I could call for a vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Resolution is approved. Elected officials' comments. This evening, Mr. Estheimer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just tonight, I wanted to say congratulations to the police officials that are retiring, including Karen in the office. So congratulations to you all. Thank you for your service to our city. And welcome and congratulations to those that are going through the academy. I happen to know one of those individuals. So best of luck to you all, and we look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike isn't here, but Angela, was there anything out of the clerk's office we ought to know?
I was just gonna bring Mike and say, thank you all for coming out. God bless. Good night.
And God bless. Oh.
You did say that.
Sorry, I wasn't loud enough.
Thank you. Matthew, Valerius.
I just wanted to thank all my fellow council members for all your concerns and questions and comments today. And thank as well to all the residents who came up during public comments as well. First, I'm not against performance evaluations. As a teacher, I'm evaluated every year and have been for 22 years. My evaluation has nothing to do with my salary, though. And really, the way a lot of teacher evaluations are done are totally ineffective. Really, you're categorized as being effective or ineffective by an administrator coming in your classroom for 50 minutes one time the entire school year and maybe doing 2 walkthroughs. And that's basically the extent of their basis on evaluating you as an effective teacher or educator. So again, I'm not against performance evaluations. I'm critical in regards to the way in which they're done, basically. So, you know, if it's like I had, last year we had a new administrator in our building who did performance evaluations on me and had no clue with regards to who I was as an educator other than 45 minutes spent in my classroom for the entire school year. So I don't think that's an effective evaluation. So I trust the directors of each department pretty much to evaluate their employees. They are, after all, the ones who work with them every single day. I don't trust in any outside group or committee that has little to no insight on anything that employees do on a daily basis to do any sort of evaluation on employees. City Council does not run the city. The city is run by the Parks and Rec employee mowing grass at a park, the DPS worker standing in a flooded hole fixing a water main break, and the clerk getting screamed at by someone complaining about their tax bill at the window. The city is run by department heads, deputy supervisors, and our administrative team, and the dedicated men and women who are on our police and fire departments. Again, city council doesn't run the city. The employees that are here every single day run the city. We're here twice a month in regards to our city council meetings and then the committee meetings that we serve on in other capacities. But it's the employees that are here every single day, sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes in the freezing cold, sometimes in the blazing heat. They're the ones that run the city, not city council. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. And Mr. Barr is excused. He's doing something charitable, so we'll move on to Mr. Schlack.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be quick. Like I promised, I'm not reading my long spiel or anything. I want to say thank you to the citizens that came up here, expressed their opinion. I want to thank you to all the council members that shared their opinions, and we had a dialogue about a number of things I think that might be fruitful for future. And that's a great thing about being council. I think we can agree and disagree on a lot of things, and that's the thing to do. I'm not going to go here and pound my fist, and this is the way it's going to be done. I didn't start that here, and I don't plan on doing that now. And I appreciate that, and maybe we can come to a terms on what we want or not. But ultimately, we are in I feel, a great city, and we all want to keep that intact. And in what way and shape we do that, well, that's, of course, of the different color where we will agree, disagree, and back around again. And I do value everyone on this council for that. So, and Mayor and Joe and Tim, Angela, and all the department heads and everyone else that does such great work in this community. I mean, it shows. I hear it when I go out of the community. So, and simple as that. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lloyd.
So a handful of appreciations this evening. I want to start with community organizations. We had, I was unable to attend, but APCF did their big fundraiser, and I understand it was successful. And there's it's an organization that's been around for a number of years now, 10 years. 10 years, and it's just made up of volunteers and people trying to invest to make this a better place to live. And you know, that thought extends to this the Senior Alliance. It's incredibly exciting, and the passion and enthusiasm for the program definitely came through in the presentation this evening. You know, and I'm just thinking about this, like this is something that my mother could benefit from, my grandma, another number of people in my life, and so it's really impressive. And there's Wayne Metro and all the different organizations that have come in here through the years that have extended these opportunities for our residents, you know, just to try to make this a better place to live. So a very big appreciation for them. Want to pass along the appreciation to the DDA and Director Hughes. And this mural that we just passed tonight is just, I think, one example of the continued partnership that we've had between the DDA and the city to invest that money that's captured in that downtown area and just put that money back into the city, and to make this a more attractive place to come and to, you know, spend your money and spend your time and to raise a family and all those things. And it's very exciting to see us making both the DDA and the city in partnership and investment in artwork in our downtown area. I know, and many of my colleagues up here who served with or knew Councilwoman Syke knew that was one of her really big things that she was passionate about, was making sure that we were investing in not just our infrastructure but the beauty of our city. And so I can't help but to have her in my thoughts tonight. And so very thankful to the DDA and Mr. Hughes. To our fellow residents, and that goes to the people that come in, you know, we have our handful that come in here every single meeting, and they make sure that they are representing their views. But there's also, you know, countless number of people. I was up at my niece's softball game, and it's the people that are volunteering for their kids coaching their team, or that are just picking up trash as they're walking their dog, as I know Mr. Valerius has mentioned a number of times. It's really one of the things that, you know, if you take away the people, this is a city. It's a great city, but with the people in it, it is truly an amazing community, and it's one that people choose to come back to. Obviously, our employees, and to Ms. Smith's comments, they're the ones that make everything happen. You know, and to use the analogy as a teacher, you can have all the best smart boards or educational technology, but if you don't have a teacher in front of the room doing the work, then nobody's going to learn anything. And it's the same thing that goes through in here. And it starts off at the very top. And, you know, to echo Councilman Valerius' thoughts, we trust in Mr. Murray to kind of be the coach and the leader of the department heads, meet with them, give them goals, give them feedback. If, you know, and it might not even be like, okay, well, it's not 6 months, so I can't tell you, but like, hey, I've noticed that you've done a good job on this. So, yeah, good work on that. We still would like to see this get done. And then we see that trickle down from our department heads working with their deputies to working with, you know, our hourly workers that are in the trenches, cold, heat, all of those things, running into burning buildings, staying up late, chasing bad guys, all those things. So, it comes from a dedication to the city and making this a great place. And that's our current employees and our past employees. And, you know, one of the reasons, I've had a lot of conversations with Tom recently about making the city whole. Because everybody here, we all experienced what it was like going through that receivership, and it was bad. And our employees took a hit, and the city took a hit. You know, we had employees were taking less because they wanted to make sure that there was a city here next year, that we weren't going to be serious. And we saw people that were loading up their push mowers and put them in the back of their F-150 to go mow grass. And we, because of our past administration, because of Mark, Bob, and Amanda, and, you know, the efforts that they put in, we are in a sound financial situation where we can start investing back and getting our employees to where they should be, and investing into the beauty of our parks, and investing in artwork, and doing these things that we've gone through the hard part. We've gone through the work of building ourselves up financially. Now we can start to reap some of those rewards, and that's from every employee, from Tom all the way down to, you know, the hourly workers that are working the desk over at the community center. So huge appreciation for that. And finally, and certainly not least, appreciation for my fellow employees. I'm sorry, fellow elected officials. It's a Freudian slip, I swear, not intentional. But that for my fellow council members, obviously, We don't agree on everything, but I just have such appreciation that, you know, Nancy and I talked for 45 minutes the other day, and at the end of the conversation, we might not have saw eye to eye and everything, but she pointed things out to me that I didn't notice, and likewise, same with Councilman Schlack, you know, and obviously put a lot of work into preparing this, and we're not going to agree on all those things, but I so much appreciate that we are able to have those conversations and be able to do the work of our citizens, and I don't want to leave out Treasurer Estheimer because, again, I'm sorry, I'm on a roll. I wrote all this down, so I'm almost done. I promise. This is my last bullet point. Treasurer Estheimer does not need to do all the stuff that he sits up here and does, but he does it again to serve the community. He does not need to, you know, make sure he's advertising these different programs and making it easier for our citizens to pay their taxes and making sure everybody's informed. He could very much just collect the check and move on with his life, but that's not the work that he does, and this goes for you know, Clerk Mizzy and Angela and everybody. So I'm up here just filled with a lot of appreciation for all that goes in to making this a fantastic place to live, and so thank you to everybody, and I yield.
Thank you. Mr. Wurzbacher.
I'd like to start by thanking everybody that attended the Taste of Allen Park this past Thursday at the arena. It was a success. See a lot of faces out there that attended. I have a great gratitude to the restaurants that donated all the food. Some of them it was a financial burden on, but they pulled through. Every one of the volunteers that worked with me from the very beginning till the event ended, a lot of them, they rolled up their sleeves and they gave me their best, and I applaud them. I would like to touch base. Matt made a comment about, and I spoke with Gary and others about performance evaluations. I spent over 50 years of my life in the retail industry. And with performance evaluations, in the beginning, they were a big part of it. But then as things progressed and there was new ways of doing things, and you streamlined, you become more efficient, you did more with less. And what I mean by that, at one time, I was general manager of a store like a Kmart. And at Christmas time, I had upwards of almost 400 employees. 20 years later, you're dealing with less. You had 200 employees. When it comes to the evaluation thing, I watched things progress more away from them, including the company that I currently work for. They don't do performance evaluations. It's more about in retail or the business that I'm in now, today, marketing and media. It's more about aisle chats in a retail store. Manager will make the rounds through the departments and on a weekly basis talk about where they're at, where they need to be, and what's in the future, okay? And it's more about coaching and mentoring than it is grading. And the reason why a lot of them have gotten away from that is that one thing I noticed, and I had to put the kibosh on way too many times on performance evaluations, that like an assistant manager would perform on somebody or a manager that didn't particularly care for that person. And what it meant came down to, it was nothing more than a clash of personalities. That's going to happen. You get 20 people in a room, you're going to have 20 different personalities, okay? But it's just dealing with each one. You got to look at what they bring to the table, how they do it, and they're performing. people have asked me on how I like city council. And I said, I love it. You know why? Ha ha, I'm part of 7. It's not on me to run the day-to-day operations or somebody walking up to me and said, Ed, we have a problem. No, Tom Murray has a problem. Rob Fulton has a problem. I don't have any problems. I'm thinking about my nagging golf handicap. That's why they're there. With that, I yield.
Thank you. Ms. Nick?
Okay, well, tomorrow evening, there's music in the streets over at Parks and Recs, and it's geared towards children. From what I saw, I'm not sure the name of the group that's playing, but it starts at 5:30 and goes to 7. So I wanted to give a couple shout outs. I'd like to thank Jason Carr. He showed up at the flea market and did a whole video of all the vendors and talked with all of them. So that was nice of him to show up and show that. And we were watching his hits, and it was going like 600, 800, and it was just jumping to the thousands, super fast. I also like to wish a happy birthday to Karen Carisi, who's on the Historical Commission. And what I learned when we were at the flea market is that at Parks and Recs, I would always get my tabs, but now you can, people don't know, you can get your license renewed, your actual license. So we were kind of showing her how to do that on the machine, but then she made us all leave because she didn't want us to see her birth date. So we did. So that was interesting, something we learned. I want to tell you a story about some residents here in Allen Park. And I know it's a little late, but on May 28th, Fred and Fran celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary. They met in a park when they were 12 years old. And then they reconnected in junior high. They became sweethearts, and they married at the age of 19. And back then, getting married at 19 was pretty common among their friends. They moved to California, but the smog of California got to them, so they moved back here to Michigan. And actually, they live down on my street on Cleveland, where I have a house. So what they believe is that faith, family, and love has been the cornerstone of their marriage. So their advice to the young couples out there who are thinking of getting married is to be there for each other. So that is how they've lasted so long, the 70 years. So congratulations to Fred and Fran. I think that's wonderful. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned them because I happened to see an article on them in the News Herald, and I mailed it to them with a letter. It's a long time. It was a delightful article, and I looked at that article with their picture, and I could not believe that this couple had been married 70 years.
Right. Yeah, they still look young.
Yeah, they're on the go. I'm not going to say too much because I have been in meetings since 9 a.m. this morning, which has been very interesting. Very glad that we had the conversations we had today. I liked a lot of the input from my fellow councilmen. I will say that feedback is critical, and as Ed pointed out, and what is happening, I think, within our organization is that feedback is given regularly, both complimentary and things that people need to work on. I've also heard from someone that it doesn't hurt to have some kind of a written document. So at some point, I think we will get some kind of a hybrid that at least will be an employee record, perhaps, that says, we discussed this and that on this date, and maybe something not as formal. I will say that nobody is ignoring these processes, but we've had some really high priority things going on, a lot of which are filling vacancies. And one of the things I also will comment on is that our current HR director came into a real, I probably shouldn't say that, mess, because what we had before was not really an HR director, and what was left behind was horrendous. So you're not only trying to keep up with day-to-day, but cleanups. You can go down memory lane, and I can tell you that, and I think I've mentioned this, the only reason I'm sitting here today is because I got sucked into the Emergency Managers Advisory Board. And I met a lot of people there, and I learned a lot of things. And I know that there were people on the Receivership Transitionary Advisory Board that finally released us from state control, who made the statement that some of the individuals that had been running this city really should have ended up in jail and not with just $10,000 fines. And I can tell you that in all the time that I've been associated with this community, there's not one person here that would ever put us in that situation that I would not trust ultimately. These individuals who are here and who have stayed here through thick and thin are dedicated and devoted to this community and would never jeopardize their careers, their professions, and their integrity by doing anything less than what is expected of them. They do a lot of planning together, a lot of what-ifs, trying to give back to this community. And I think in talking to Tom, anybody who's talked with Tom, he will tell you how important it is to him to make sure that now that we are in a more stable position, to start giving back to the residents of this community because they also suffered. And with that, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Nick. Second by Mr. Wurzbacher. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned at Utilities. 7:41.